All right. Hello, hello. It's Soraya here. I am almost embarrassed that I've never talked about this topic that I'm going to talk about today on a podcast. At least I don't think I have, not that I can recall. But it is so important to understand these. And I have kind of realized over the last week or so that a lot of people don't. What am I talking about? I'm talking about hooks. So just a second and we'll get to that. But first, let me just give you a little update on what I've been up to. So I am finally in a phase where little baby Emery he's almost 5 months. He'll be 5 months at the end of this week. And I'm starting to feel like a human again. I'm in this phase where I'm getting decent sleep, at least enough, although I'm definitely still tired. But what that really means and why I'm talking about this with you is that I'm getting back into the things that I love. And I'm finally getting enough time that I can be present like I was not for so many months. And what that means is that I was able to launch a awesome workshop, courses and coaching. That has been my bread and butter for 6 years. And I took a long break from it, going through IVF and the pregnancy and all of that. I really put all of that on the back burner. And so it's been almost 2 years since I've launched anything pretty big. It's been nice. So what I did is I took my unique methodology of how to show up on social media without a niche, and I turned that into a workshop, a really easy to digest workshop. And I sold that to many of you, many of you. And I'm so grateful. I wanted to share that because I know lots of you are interested in digital products and having revenue streams outside of network marketing or affiliate marketing or whatever it is that you do typically. So if that's interesting to you, let me know. Happy to record some episodes about that. So that's been fun. And starting to build back, get back into the fun things. I'm blogging again. I am recording podcasts consistently again. And so, I am happy to be here. It's not all smooth sailing, of course, because no journey ever is, no matter what phase you're in. But man, it feels good to be creating and having enough rest that I can actually feel creative. Because that's the first thing that goes. I talk about this all the time. When you are tired, your creativity just goes out the window. And holy moly, if that wasn't my whole pregnancy in the first 3 months, almost 4 months of postpartum stuff. So anyways, I know many of you have gone through this and this is nothing super unique, but it's the first time I've experienced it. So this has been quite a journey for me, but we've got the creativity flowing. We've got blogs going. We've got courses, all sorts of stuff, which by the way, if you do want to grab that workshop, go to the show notes on whatever platform you're listening to this, and you can see a link right there. So excited. I've been getting great feedback on it, so I've got to incorporate some of the testimonials into the sales page now. But okay, back on topic. Is a good hook the most important part of your social media? See what I did there? I gave you a hook. Okay, being super cheesy here. But really, the question is a good question. Is a good hook the most important part of your social media? I could make an argument that it is. Now, if you don't know what a hook is, it is the thing that is going to bait you into watching someone's content. It is the first line, usually, of either a video or a written post or something. But for our, purpose in this podcast episode, we're really going to be talking about video, because if you're not doing videos, what are you doing? Come on, get with the program. So particularly in a video, it is the first line. It is the reason why you are going to stop your scroll and watch something. Spend your precious time watching something. That's called a hook. I know you know what I'm talking about. Now, hooks can increase engagement. They can basically make a post go viral. They can do lots of things for you. They can also be very effective at educating and positioning yourself and all sorts of other things. So there's lots of ways we can use hooks, but let's just kind of talk about the basics today. And my goal for this podcast episode is to get you thinking about your hooks and then to arm you with a list of hooks that you can use for your own. I'm just going to give you a whole darn list of good ones, and you can use them, manipulate them, use them across any platform whatever you want. They're in the show notes. Go for it. Have fun. Okay. So again, a hook in the context of social media is that first line. It's a question or a statement or even a story. It could be a story. Like you could hook someone in by saying, I walked into this creepy old house and you'll never guess what I saw. That's a crazy hook, right? All of a sudden you're like, what did you see? I want to know more. So a hook can be a part of a story. It can be a teaser. There's lots of different types of hooks out there. So anything can be effective if you are using it well. Now, again, why do hooks matter? Like I kind of covered this in the intro, but you've got to capture attention. You really have to capture attention in what is otherwise a very crowded feed of social media. There are lots of people doing lots of crazy things, and you kind of have to make yourself different. Again, it's not about being performative or being someone you're not, none of that. But as you create your own style of social media, which we're all kind of evolving in our style constantly, but as you figure out what your style of social media is, you can use your hooks to make yourself different. Okay. The psychology behind why hooks work, I mean, that's pretty obvious, right? We're curious. We want an emotional connection. We want to see if we are like other people. This is kind of a tangent, but it's why reality television is popular, because we want to sit and kind of subconsciously judge our lives or compare, maybe that's a better word, compare our lives to the person on TV. It's kind of the same thing with social media. So hooks work because people want to compare their experience and their life to yours. And ultimately what hooks do for you is they get people to watch your stuff. Now, once you've got them there, you've got to deliver. We'll talk about that a little bit more too. But hooks can certainly increase engagement and likes, comments, shares, follows, all that good stuff. Follows definitely being, in my opinion, the most important of that. Because if you can get someone to follow you with a good hook, then you have them coming back to your content over and over again, and you don't have to fight for that view new every single time. Okay, what makes a great hook? A great hook, I don't even know that I can really define this, but let's just talk about some characteristics, okay? So relevant, if you've ever seen a hook that doesn't match with the content, that's bad, right? You're like, oh, wait, you promised me the secret to, XYZ and you gave me ABC. That's not cool. And you're like, and you kind of feel a little yucky about the content and you don't want to follow that person. I know you know what I mean. So a good hook is relevant. It's short, ideally, right? It's got some brevity. It gives you intrigue. It pulls you in. And typically the commonality with all of these good hooks is there's some sort of an emotional appeal. Usually you're talking about a pain point that you've gone through, or that maybe someone in your audience is going through, or a dilemma of some sort, or a question, an appeal to nostalgia. There's something like, okay, you know the series, if you watch TikToks, I'm sure you've probably come across these, where someone will be like, can you name all of these songs? Like, that's a compelling hook, right? Can you name all of these songs? Okay, challenge accepted. I want to know. There's an emotional appeal. So those are the types of things that get us to watch more. And I hate to say it, but marketing is all about getting eyes on your stuff. And the more eyes and the longer someone watches, the better your business will be. So crafting a great hook is just really important to get people in the door. Now, how do you write a good hook? First of all, you've got to know your audience. You have to know what they're interested in. Now, if you don't know what they're interested in, that's okay. You can test out different hooks. See what people respond to and figure out why they're responding to them. Test things over and over and over again. You will eventually figure out what your audience is looking for. And if you don't have an audience, because I know someone's going to be like, hey, Soraya, I don't have a big audience. I have 200 of my, aunts, uncles, and high school friends on there, but I haven't built an audience yet. Okay, cool. Figure out who you want to speak to and then write hooks for those people. Like, figure out what problem you're trying to solve and what things people need to know about, and create hooks surrounding that. Okay. A sense of urgency or curiosity, those are always really, really helpful. Again, the example that I used before is, like, can you name these songs? Do you know the name to each of these songs? Okay, well, you've got my curiosity, so now I have to watch. A sense of urgency, like, hey, stop what you're doing. In fact, someone I follow did this really well today. There was a Canva update, the graphics software Canva. And she was like, PSA, watch this if you use Canva templates. It was urgent. There was an update in the software, and she told us what it was. You better believe I use Canva templates, and so I wanted to watch her content. So that's a sense of urgency. There's lots of ways to do that very, very easily, and I'll show you in some of the ones that I put in the hooks that I'm giving you today. Another way to have a really effective hook is to relate to personal experiences. It's, have you ever gone to the top of the Empire State Building? Have you ever hiked the Grand Canyon? Those types of things. Or like the stories that I was telling you about. Some story, like it's like the opening line of a novel, let me tell you about the time that a dog ate my hat. Be like, what? Okay, sure. Yeah. Let me hear about it. Like, sometimes stories are the best hooks. I think that not only do you probably by this point know what I'm talking about, but hopefully as I'm talking to you about these types of hooks, you're thinking about types of hooks that maybe you don't use, or maybe you don't use hooks at all. If that's the case, you just hit the jackpot with this podcast episode. But if you already use hooks, which most people do, it's very helpful to think about, like, what are the types of hooks that I typically rely on, and what are the ones that maybe I can use more of? Like, I rarely ever tell stories, like straight out like hooks that are stories. Now, usually I'll hook people in with something else and then tell a story and then make a closing offer, but I rarely open with a line from a story. So I definitely need to try that out. This is also a good reminder for me because we all get stuck in our own content patterns and habits. Okay. The connection between hooks and storytelling. I made a note to specifically cover this in this episode because I know that I have done podcast episodes on the format that I learned many years ago that has served me so well. And the format for a social media post on any platform, anytime, day or night, no matter what your audience is, it does not matter. The format that always works and will not fail is hook, story, offer. Hook, story, offer. Okay, so you start with a hook. Again, something like some hook that we've discussed, right? Bait the person in, then tell them a story that relates to the hook. It could be a personal story. It could be a story about a client, or a customer. It could be a story about a friend It doesn't really matter, but it usually leads to an offer, something that you're selling. So again, hook, story, offer. It is so easy. So let me just see. This is like marketing challenge. I love giving myself marketing challenges. Let's see if I can create a hook, a story, and an offer for something. I'm sitting on my sitting at my desk recording this, and I am looking right now at this really cool portable tripod that I have. God, I should link it in the show notes. Actually, I will. I'll link it in the show notes because I'm obsessed with this little tripod. But let me see if I can give you an example of a hook, a story, and an offer based on this little iPhone tripod that I now use all the time. So the hook that I just came up with would be something like, the thing that I purchased that was most influential in my business last year only cost me $17. There's probably a better way to say that. But like the number one investment in my business last year was only $17. Here's what it was. That's a great hook, right? Then I go on to say, look, I took this course with another content creator and she had this amazing tripod that I I just kept looking at over and over and over in her videos. Finally, I reached out to her and I said, hey, what tripod is that? It looks amazing. Here's why I reached out to her. I reached out to her because it was something that could fit not only on the desktop in my office, and it was a nice and compact one, but it also expanded long enough that it could be on the floor and actually film me standing up. But then it contracts, it like folds back down into a little thing that can easily fit in like a bum bag or a purse or something very, very simple. So I always carry this tripod with me. And this $17 tripod has gone with me, number one, all around the world in the last year, everywhere that I have been, because it's always in my purse. It goes to my office, it goes to my living room, and everything I film is this tripod. I don't need anything heavy. I don't need anything special. It's super compact. It's cute. It's just nice to be able to always throw it in my bag, and I always have it there. So even if I'm at the zoo with my family or I'm trying to create content at, somewhere where I'm shopping, I always have it with me, and it's so effective. So if you want this tripod, go ahead and click the link below. Okay. End scene. So that's an example, a little bit lengthier than I wanted to, but hook, story, offer. So I hooked you in and I said that the best investment in my business last year was $17. I told you a story, although that was a rambling, terrible story because I made it up on the fly. You get the picture. And then I gave you an offer. So in this case, I said something like click the link or whatever. Go to the show notes and I will actually literally link this tripod because I really do believe that it's amazing. And all of that I said was actually true. I use this thing at the zoo. I use this thing at the coffee shop. I use it on my desk. It's fantastic. Okay. Hook, story, offer. I think you get the point. So if you have a good hook and then you follow it up with a story and then you give a clear offer, that's it, man. That's how you sell stuff. Like, game over. You can do this with products, business opportunities, services, on sales pages, in social media posts, in captions, everything. Like, everything you do can be a hook, story, offer. Anytime you want to sell something, you can do hook, story, offer. And the hook is what's going to get people through the door. So if your hook sucks and your hook falls flat, unfortunately, they won't be around to hear the story or the offer. Equals no sales. Womp womp. So the better your hook, the better everything will be. And then really, on the topic of storytelling, you don't have to be the most talented storyteller, but your authenticity and your relatability, if it shows through, will do the selling for you. Like, you don't need to hard sell a whole lot, right? When I mean hard sell, I mean like QVC style. Like, have you ever watched QVC? Those people are talented. Like, if you never have, watch QVC. You can do it. You don't even need the channel. Just Google QVC and go check that out. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but it's so, so, so good. Take 10 minutes and just watch these people sell on QVC. They are selling. And it's so well done, but that's pretty hard selling. Like, they've got the thing there and they're showcasing it with the hands and they're, modeling it or whatever. Like, there is no mistaking that they are selling you something. That's pretty hard selling, or at least very overt selling, I guess I should say. But when you use hook, story, offer, you can really hook someone in, tell a very easy, fun, lighthearted story about your hair, your makeup, or your clothes, or whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and then give them a call to action as your offer. And that's it. Okay. By the way, I expand on how to do this in my no niche sales workshop. So you're welcome to grab that. Okay. Testing and refining your hooks. Let's talk very quickly about testing. I need to do a better job of this, quite frankly, but as I was writing out what I wanted to cover, testing your hooks is so, so smart. So here's what happens. We mostly just create a piece of content once, and then we move on to the next topic. But what would happen if you wrote out 17 different hooks, 25 different hooks, 42 different hooks that all led to basically a similar piece of content or the same topic over and over and over again? So let's say you wanted to be the tripod expert, right? Let's just go with it. Let's say you wanted to be known as an expert in tripods, or you just wanted to sell a boatload of tripods, right? you could probably come up with 42 different hooks tonight that would lead someone to be curious about this tripod. Like, just try it. Substitute tripod for whatever your main product or business opportunity is. See if you can write 40 different hooks that all lead to the same topic. Maybe it's your business opportunity call next week. Maybe it is your flagship product that you promote. Maybe it's the main thing that you are an affiliate for that you want to sell a lot of. But see if you can come up with multiple different hooks that all lead to the same thing. Then you don't really have to do a whole lot of work on the back end other than creating the hooks. Like, you got to film the content. But if it's leading to the same type of thing, a similar story, similar experiences, testimonials, like, it doesn't really get that complicated. And if you're worried about like, well, yeah, but what happens if I post 10 videos on the same tripod or the same makeup or the same whatever? Guess what? Cool. That's awesome. Because it may take, I've heard this stat. I don't know if it's true, but everyone says 7 to 10 exposures for someone to actually buy the darn thing. So good. Fantastic. That's even better. And considering that not everyone sees all of your content, let's say I only see 10% of your content, it might take up to 100 times of me talking about it for you to actually decide to buy the darn thing. Like, similarly, when I changed network marketing companies, I had followed someone for 3 years, never had a conversation with this person, but then the situation arose where I was looking for a new home to go to, and I reached out to this person. Do you know how much content of hers I soaked in over 3 freaking years? Do you know how many times she talked about her products in those 3 years? 1 million. 3 years down the road, I finally said yes. So anyways, just an example that like you can talk about the same thing over and over and over again and switch out the hooks, and it's brilliant. It's just brilliant marketing. Now, you can test different hooks in different ways. You can look at the number of views you have, the number of shares, saves, all that kind of stuff. I don't get too much into this, I'll be honest, because it's very easy to get obsessed with views and shares and saves. Like, it just is. So I tend to not dive into this, but some people get really analytical about that, and that's cool too. If you've got the time to do that, by all means, just don't let it take you away from creating more content. However, if you test different hooks out, different styles of hooks, take notice over time. Are there certain types of hooks that get you better views? Are there certain types of hooks that resonate more with your audience? Like, if you start telling stories, does that resonate more than kind of the traditional, hey, let me give you 3 tips type of a hook? See what you like, see what you enjoy creating content about, and then see if there are any patterns. And then, of course, adapt, refine, all that good stuff, right? I'd also say that a good way to really test hooks is to see what hooks grab your attention as a content consumer. Now, the warning with this is that it's easy to get sucked in and not create your own content. So don't just go like, yeah, I'm doing research, I'm watching for hooks, and spend all day scrolling on Instagram or TikTok. But when you are scrolling, because we all scroll, take a look at what hooks actually grab your attention. And maybe you start a list in your phone of the hooks that you like, and you write them down, and you decide that you're going to use those and modify them to your business and your products. Also write down the ones that you don't like, right? The ones to stay away from, because we've all come across hooks that are like sleazy or gross that we're just like, oh, no, not good. Speaking of sleazy or gross, let's talk about some hook mistakes, mistakes that you might want to avoid. So the classic one that I see all the time, it's the first thing that came to my mind, is overpromising and underdelivering. I'm going to show you the 4 secrets that are going to make you $100,000. And then they tell you 4 really generic things, and you're like, really? Like, it's probably not going to make me $100,000 today, but okay. So, that's a dumb example, but you get what I'm saying. Overpromising on a hook and then under-delivering in your content completely kills your trust. Completely kills your trust. The other thing that kills your trust is super clickbaity hooks. Now, there is like a corner of the market that enjoys this kind of stuff, but I promise you, those are not the people that you want as your customers. Clickbait tactics are they're just going to attract a low quality type of lead. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And then the last thing, and I've done this, I'm guilty of this, is failing to align the hook with the content. So the front doesn't match the back. You're like, oh, let me tell you about XYZ in your hook. And then at the end, you don't actually cover XYZ. I have done this by mistake 100 times. So it's not the biggest deal, but the video probably won't do very well if you do that. And it's happened to me. So don't worry. Just don't even delete it. Just move on and do the next one. But the front needs to match the back, right? The title needs to match the movie. Okay. We've talked a lot about hooks, but I hope that you've taken a couple things away, that they are extremely important, that you can experiment with different types of hooks, and that you can create your own or use mine that are in the notes below. By all means, I've literally just put out, 15, 20, whatever the list is, I can't remember, that I wrote out, and they're yours. No opt-in required. Go cut and paste them, et cetera, et cetera. I would ask that you subscribe to the podcast, though. Like, if I can barter a little bit, if you enjoy the hooks, just subscribe to the podcast if you aren't already. But anyways, the hooks are yours for the taking. If they don't fit you, if they're not your vibe, if they're not your voice, then change them. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Here's an extra tip, and I actually just did a reel on this today, reel/TikTok. A pro tip about hooks and just marketing in general. Take a look at these hooks, and these specific hooks that I wrote out are all related to storytelling. They are basically asking you to tell either a personal story or a story about how you came to your business, because I had to make these hooks all be universal, right? Because we're all in different businesses. So what I would encourage you to do is to think about the objections that you get for your product, your service, or your business opportunity. Why don't people join you or buy from you? Why don't people take the action that you're looking for them to take? And talk about those with these hooks. So, for example, let me just pull this hook list up, and I'll give you an example. Hook number 7. When I first started, I made a huge mistake by blank. Here's what I learned. When I first started, you could even delete the by blank. You could just say, when I first started, I made a huge mistake. Here's what I learned. Now, let's take that hook and let's apply it to, let's say, I'll just use my own business, for example, right? Because it's very, very simple. When I first started, I made a huge mistake, and I'll talk about a product. I made a huge mistake by not doing hair oiling, by not doing weekly hair oil treatments. So if I was to use this hook, I would say, hey, when I first started on a new hair routine, I made a huge mistake. Here's what I learned. It's a pretty good hook. You could probably shorten it. Then I would go into, I'd say, hey, look, because this is a true story. When I first started, I was like, this shampoo and conditioner, I didn't even want to try it. A friend sent me a bottle, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll try it. Sure, since you gave it to me for free, which I appreciate very much. But I wasn't looking to change my shampoo at all. And so I loved the shampoo and conditioner once I tried it, but I was like, okay, that's it. So I just put on like an auto delivery of shampoo and conditioner every so often, and I didn't try any of the other products. Everybody told me that I needed to oil my scalp with this amazing hair oil, and I just thought it sounded stupid. I didn't want to do it. I was stressed out. It just sounded like something that I just wasn't into. Oh, by the way, I already had an oily scalp, so the idea of putting more oil on it freaked me out, to be honest. So I didn't do it for 2 years. And then finally, I was like, okay, I've heard enough people talk about this, and so I started doing it, and guess what? Hair grew in healthier. Hair got super nourished. Hair wasn't as dry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So long story short, had I just started out with the darn oil treatments like this girl recommended, it would have saved me so much energy, and my hair would have been so much better for probably 2 years before. I mean, it was good, but it would have been way better. That's what I learned. Okay, so there's my made up example on the spot, right? Even though it's a very true story. So when I first started, I made a huge mistake by blah. Now, The reason why I gave you that example is because a lot of people are like me and they think, well, I don't need that product. And your business it's the same. Trust me. There's some reason or some product or some service or something, maybe your business opportunity, that people are like, I don't need that. That's dumb. So tell a story about that. That's what I mean by use your objections to fuel your content. Use your objections to drive your content, because not only are you teaching, you're educating, you're being compelling, but you're also overcoming objections in just the most fun, simple way. So, okay, there you go. That is the episode all about hooks. I really hope that you found this helpful. If you did, there are many ways to, in essence, thank me for this. Screenshot it, upload it to your Instagram stories, and tag me in it and tell me what your favorite part of this was. Fantastic. I love seeing those. Another way is to tag me when you use this. So use this hook in a video and then tag me in the comments or tag me somewhere in the video and say, I used your hook. I love seeing that. That makes me so, so, so happy. Or just send me a note or send me a DM on Instagram or whatever. Happy to talk to you. And yes, it's always me answering my DMs. I had someone ask me that the other day. I'm not that big, bro. I'm not, yeah. Anyways, it's always me. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's it. So there you go. Enjoy your hooks. Let me know if this list here is helpful, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.